Hi, and you're welcome to my channel again today. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for leaving a comment. Thank you for subscribing, liking. Just thank you for stopping by. So I made a post yesterday on dating tips for couples. How we can connect again in this interesting times. So I made that post, and then people are like, okay, what are the singles? Do we have anything for the singles? And I was like, okay, the how, when it comes to dating and all that, how do we merge all that? Did people date in the Bible? Did they date? Was there anything like dating and all that? Well, in fact, the Bible is so interesting that it was basically an arrangement between parents. We just, we like this family, or go to this family, go to this particular place, go and help me get a wife for my son, or so that was basically it. But there's this story about love in the Bible, even before Romeo and Juliet and all the romantic stories you can think of. This story was already there. It's about Ruth and Boaz. I always like using that when I want to talk to singles, because there's a lot to learn from Ruth, females, and there's also a lot to learn from Boaz as a male. Dealing with dating, this season. And because I'm a Christian and I deal with a lot of Christians. So I want to talk about dating, courtship, everything is together. And then how the house, and then all that, whatever goes on in dating, basically. So I did a study. In fact, I'm still on the study on Ruth and Boaz. I'd already started my book on it, and hopefully it should be ready before my birthday this month. So why I picked Ruth and Boaz? Ruth is a Bible story. It's a Bible story. In fact, it's a Bible passage. It's one of the only Bible books that has to do with women. This one, Ruth and Esther. They're the only two. So you need to pay attention to those two, especially ladies. So let's go back to Ruth. So the story, I'll just tell the story. This is going to be in about 4 parts. So I'll tell the story on this episode, and then on the next episode, we'll now dig deeper into what I want to pick out, things that I picked out of the story that will help us dating, before marriage, and then at the beginning of marriage and all. So the book of Ruth is a very interesting book. It started with Elimelech. There was famine in the land, and so he moved with his wife and they now moved to Moab. Moab seemed to have food there, so they moved over there to live. And while he was there, he had 2 sons, Mahlon and Chilion. Elimelech died. After he died, his sons, of course, grew up, and then they got married, and they married the Moabite women. And after getting married to them, 10 years after, they both died, leaving Naomi, the wife of Elimelech, leaving her with her daughter-in-laws, who happens to be Orpah and Ruth. So that was how the story started. So Naomi now says that, you know what, I'm hearing now that there's food in Judah, where we're coming from, where I'm coming from. So you guys, you're free to move on. You're widows now. You can go to your parents' homes. You can go remarry. You can go start your life again, since my sons are gone, which made sense. And they were like, no, we're going to stick with you. We're going to stick with you. We're going to stay with you. We're going to stay with you. And she was like, okay. They continued on the generation. I said, no, you guys just go back. Look, even if I give birth to sons now, they will be too small. They will be too young for you to get married to them. By the time they are old, maybe you're even gone, that they should move on. They said, no, we're going to stay with you. So Oprah kissed the mother-in-law and left, because, it makes sense. She's a Moabitess, while Naomi is going back to her people. She's going back to her land. So, but Ruth says, no, I'm going to stick with you, my mother-in-law. I already believe in your God. I'm going to stand with you. I'm going to stay with you. Your God will be my God. Your people, I'm going to go with your people. I'm going to stand with you. I believe in you. I believe in our bond that we've gotten. So, and she decided to stick with her mother-in-law. So they moved back to the land, to Naomi's, her mother-in-law's place. And it just happened that was ending the beginning of the barley harvest. So they got in there, and during the harvest, of course, has started. So the next day, Ruth got up and said, mother-in-law, I have to take care of you. I have to take care of myself. So I have to go work to get food so that we can eat. So she went out, and the mother-in-law prayed for her. Said, yes, that's very true. Go, my child. God be with you. And Ruth went. It just so happened that Ruth went to glean, and the farm that she went to glean happened to be owned by Boaz. Boaz was a very wealthy man. Boaz was about 80 years old. Ruth was 40 years old. So you can see the age disparity. So Boaz had his own place. He was a rich man. So he had his own place where he had workers, people harvesting and all that. So Ruth got in there, spoke with the guys, the workers. They're like, can I glean here? Can I? And they were like, oh, fine, that's fine. And they found out who she was, that she was Ruth. They found her, of course, they knew her story. And she started gleaning. Then Boaz now came and greeted his servants and was like, oh, what's going on? As the oga now, or the boss. He comes in and like, what's going on here? And then they tell him, and then he was like, okay. Then he notices, who is that damsel? Who is that babe? Who is that? Meanwhile, he had girls that were working for him in the field. But he noticed Ruth. Like, who is that babe? Who is that new girl? And then the guys now told him that, her name is Ruth. She came with them. They now told him her story. And he was like, wow. So he walked up to Ruth and was now like, oh, wow, I've heard your story, and, he introduced himself, general, and all that. And then he now decided to favor Ruth, favored her. He just said, you know what, keep gleaning here. Don't glean anywhere. In fact, I've told the workers, I told those guys, nobody should harass you. Don't go somewhere else where you're not protected. See these guys here? They will not hurt you. They will not harm you. Nobody is going to speak rudely to you. Stay here and work. Gather food and take care of your mother-in-law. And God will bless you for, he even prayed for her because he found out that she knew about the God of the Israelites. So he prayed for her, blessed her, and then she continued working. He now told her, and I said, look, when you want to drink water, don't go and look for water. These ones that my guys have fetched, go and take water from there. In fact, when you want to eat, come, when he was eating, he called her, come and eat. He provided food and gave her. Then he now even instructed his workers. He said, look, you know what? When this food, when you people are harvesting, drop some of these things for this girl. Drop for her. Drop food for her. And that was it. And then she gathered a lot. The first day, she gathered a lot and she got back. And the mother-in-law was like, where did you get all this from? Where did you go glean? Where did you go gather food from? She was like, I went to glean, and then I bumped into this field, and it happened to be Boaz's own. And he favored me, he gave me food, he told the workers to favor me, you know. He has just been a blessing to me. And the mother-in-law was like, oh, I know him. He is the kinsman of Elimelech, my husband. He's a kinsman, a good man, you know. And Ruth stayed in that place and gleaned and worked and was gathering food throughout that harvest season. She stayed there. She listened to what Boaz said. She didn't go somewhere else. She stayed there. She listened to what her mother-in-law said. She stayed there and gleaned and gathered food throughout the harvest season. When that harvest season was virtually done, the mother-in-law was not like, look, Ruth, you have been consistent with me. You have stayed with me. I need you to have rest. I need you to get yourself back, get your life back. Let me see how I can settle you. Because Ruth had been good to her. Most daughter-in-law, the husband is gone. That's it. The relationship is basically over. The children, there are no children. So, in actual sense, the woman should just move on, get married, and in actual sense. So Naomi now said, you know what? That Boaz is our kinsman. And in the Israel tradition, in Deuteronomy, you find out that there's a place where the Bible says that if the man dies, he's in his lineage, his relative, his brother, or somebody related to him, can take the wife and continue the lineage. Continue it. It's sort of a cake stuff, but that was what they did. We don't do that here. We don't. Who does that? Like, really? You want to marry his brother for like, what was that? So, well, that was their tradition then. So Naomi now found out that this guy, he's our kinsman, so he can actually get married to you. He can. So let me tell you what to do so you can. And since he's a good man, we've watched him. I've seen what he can do. I've seen how he has been providing. I've seen how he has favored you and all that. Let me see how we can do this to get you settled. So she told Ruth, the barley harvest is over. There's going to be a party tonight. You know what? Dress up, put on your makeup, spray perfume, change your clothes, look good. And then, when the party, go to the threshing floor. When the party is over, go and look for where Boaz is lying down. Go by his feet. She didn't say go by his side. If he's going by his side, that means she's coming there to ask for sex. Because that's by his side. I want sex, that's what I want. But she went by his feet. If you go check that, you find out that means that she wanted a covering. So she did exactly what the mother-in-law said. And Boaz woke up at night and was startled, like, who is on my feet? And she said, it's your handmaiden, it's your damsel. It's me, Ruth. Please cover me with your shawl or what, signifying that means that I want you to marry me or do what is right. Protect me. Take care of me formally. And he was like, okay, that the issue is that I'm going to do what is right. But there is somebody, a closer relative to you, to my to my brother that is supposed to be the next person in line before me. So I can't just take you for a wife. I need to follow the procedure. So he said, you know what? I'm going to find out if this guy wants to take you for a wife. Then I'll make sure he does it. But if he doesn't, I'm going to do what's right. And he covered her up and told her, you know what? I don't want anybody to know you're here. Take off before everywhere is bright. And he covered her. And she took off much later in the night and went back, to her. Before the morning was up, she went back home. And she told her mother-in-law. The mother-in-law said, don't worry. He's going to do what's right. I know this Boaz. I know this guy will do what is right. And the morning had not even set in. Immediately it was morning. Boaz went to the gate to look for that guy. And he found him. He said, look, this guy is dead. He has land. Are you ready to take over the land? The man said, yes. I'm ready to take over the land. I'm ready to take over the property of that my brother, of Elimelech. He said, okay, fine. So they now call the elders. They do their meetings at the gate to signify, this is a serious matter. So they had the meeting, and during the meeting, he now said, okay, fine, you want to take the land in front? He was there with the elders. He now said, you want to take the land? He said, yes. He said, but the clause is that this land comes with a bride. This guy had a wife. So if you're taking the land, you have to take the bride. So you have to take the wife too. And the guy was like, no, I'm married. I don't want any extra. Please take the land, take the wife, I don't want. So that was how he now gave him a shoe to signify that, okay, this is a deal. He gave the other one a shoe, and that was it. And that was how Boaz did what was right and married Ruth. And if you check history, a Moabite woman, if you check, it was in her lineage. She gave birth to a son called Obed. And Obed, if you check the lineage, you have Jesse until it gets to Jesus. So it came through that. I don't want to go into that. My own focus is on this part, Boaz and Ruth. So that is the story of Ruth and Boaz, Naomi, and all that. So you can see that it's a beautiful love story, but there are lessons, there are things that I want to share, that will help us while dating and preparing for marriage. So I hope you enjoyed my story time. So tune in for part 2, part 3, until we're done with our discussion. All right.